Hello and welcome to this video lesson where I'm sharing my top 3 tips on how to become a more calm and connected parent. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and I really know that every parent is doing the best they can with the knowledge they have, and you're doing great. However, let's be honest, most of us sink into autopilot mode way too often and too quickly. With our busy lifestyles, stress factors, we often can tend to start snapping and yelling at our children more often than we would like to admit. So with these 3 tips, it is about becoming more aware of how you are actually parenting and really that quality time you're having with your children. How good of a quality time is that? Our children are really craving deeper connections with us. As I say, we've got too many distractions that are robbing us of our time between social events and sport events and work and our busy lifestyles. We really need to make quality connection time with our children a priority. What I have done is create a 5-page workbook. So with this video, if you would like to have this workbook, it just goes into a little bit more detail on what I'm going to share with you, and you're welcome to leave your email in the address in the comments below, your email address, and I will send that through to you a little bit later on. So let's dive in. So the first tip I'm sharing with you is commit to making the change. Often we think about things and we make a silent promise to ourselves and tomorrow, but it's really, as I said, making that commitment out loud to yourself and to your family, to your partner. And I even suggest in the little workbook, I've created a little declaration that you can print out and sign that really is making that a real tangible commitment. And it's about making that promise that you are going to be changing and that you want to start yelling less or snapping less and working towards being a more calm, peaceful parent. One of my other little tips that I came up with is called a yellow jar. And preferably it's a yellow colored jar that you create. You can just paint any sort of old jar that you might have, and this becomes a little penalty jar. So for every time that you do start yelling, you then decide with your children what is the fine. Is it 5 Rand, 10 Rand? And you're going to pop these little penalty fines into your jar. I must say it fills up quite quickly after the first 2 weeks, but hopefully it should start filling up less. And then decide what you're going to do with this little penalty fund, and to do something fun as a family, whether it's ice creams in the park, buying new bedtime stories, having a nice movie night. But get your children involved, as that helps you to be accountable, and children are pretty good at reminding you to do things. So, and the other thing I like to use often is to create code words. So these are like your pause button words. So for instance, mom's magic code word could be bazinga. And your children know that this is your code word, and when they feel and sense you getting a bit uptight or that there's a full-on yelling session about to emerge, that they can push this bazinga word at you and you know, okay, stop, breathe, and calm down before things escalate, that you're able to then shift yourself into a different frame of mind before, as I say, it sort of really escalates. So that is really 2 fun things to do with making that commitment and getting your children to help you stick to that commitment. The next tip is act in the present. Being more mindful, absolutely, of how you are feeling, allowing things to come to the surface, being aware of also your words that you are choosing, your behaviors, your actions around your children, and sometimes in the present moment, just taking those deep breaths. The power of your breath can really bring you into that present moment, into your body. It relaxes you and can shift your thinking and give you that clarity. Instead of charging on ahead to fight or flight mode, you're able to, as I say, get into a more calm state where you can also just think and reflect for a minute. What else could possibly be bugging me or triggering me? Am I just feeling really overwhelmed with something at work? Am I feeling anxious about something else? And sometimes we unfortunately do take these out on our children. When they start pushing those boundaries and those buttons, boom, we kind of lash out. And often I've had to apologize to my daughter and say, look, I'm sorry, mom is frustrated with X, and your behavior triggered that in me, but it is not your fault. And it's important for children to understand that it's not them, that it could be the behavior behind it. So they can start to separate that, because the children very quickly take on the blame for things, and that then leads to other emotional build-up within themselves. So that's number 2. Number 3 is neutralizing your triggers. So you've made the commitment to change. You're now becoming more aware and mindful, as I say, of what these triggers are. But now you've got to neutralize these. And often these are daily little things that can just, really irritate you. Perhaps it's the morning routine where your children aren't getting ready quick enough. Is it a bit of a hassle getting snacks ready for lunch boxes? Is it getting chores done? Or, oh goodness, getting teeth brushed before bedtime? Often that can be quite a big challenge. So how can you make these little daily tasks a little bit easier and more manageable? Because they're certainly not going to go away on their own. You've just got to tackle them and find more fun ways to approach them. Is it creating a fun chore chart? Perhaps putting on some music in the morning. What often helps me get Aurelia dressed is if I put on one of her favorite songs, not one that's too short, but giving it like a 3 or 4 minute song, and then she has the challenges that she's got to be dressed by the time that song finishes. So again, get your children involved. Sit down with them and ask them, Mom's really struggling, to get you guys ready in the morning. And listen to some of their ideas. You might be surprised at some of their suggestions. Try them. It will take a bit of trial and error, but it's definitely worth tackling and trying different ideas, as opposed to just leaving these little daily frustrations that just build up and are going to trigger you unnecessarily. And then also your triggers, being aware of emotionally and internally what else could be triggering you. As I said, is there additional work stress at the moment? Is it a bit of a time management issue? Do you need a bit more me time? And how can you then address those factors? Is there a bit of tension with your partner? But again, these have to be addressed, because if we don't look at these triggers, they're just going to continue to, as I say, allow those that extra emotional anxiety, stress to be triggered all the time. Also remember not to take things personally from your children. Sometimes the things they do or say, don't take it personally. Often, depending on how stressed we are, we can really get way too uptight and upset with what they're doing. So I hope this has been useful for you, and that you can start implementing some of these tips. If you would like more information or would like a chat with me to see how I can assist you further, then you're welcome to private message me as well. And then, of course, this is going to be discussed in a lot more detail in the Connected Heart Parenting course. So all is on track, and as I say, hopefully all will be launched and revealed on Monday, the 2nd of July. So thank you for taking the time out to watch this video lesson, and we will be in touch soon. Stay connected and go well.